Wendy certainly did not dare to argue now that Ted was suddenly a savage brute. All she could hope for was to get this over with, and then destroy him later. Along the way home, neither she nor Dean dared to say a word, as in their minds Ted had truly lost his mind. Forget assaulting them, would a normal person make a man, who had his face burned and suffered a fractured arm, drive? Who would ever dare? But Ted did. Luckily for them, the journey was peaceful, and once they reached Lake Garden Villas, Wendy turned to Ted and snarled through her teeth, "Go! Look for your crap and leave immediately." As they went in, Wendy was told that Thomas was not home, having gone fishing with some old friends. It left her absolutely furious, and she promptly called Thomas, telling him that their son had almost been murdered. Ted did not care, as he went to the storeroom to get a box that was covered in dust. It was obvious that it had been so long since anyone had touched it, but it made sense as no one was bored enough to mess around with something they saw as horrid sketches. As Ted took everything out of the box, he looked through everything. Looking at it over his back, Wendy realized why he wanted these back. The paintings were mostly of Luna, and there was also literature like love poems. Feeling victorious, she laughed coldly at Ted. Trying to reminisce about the past, Ted York? Shame. This crap could have tricked my daughter back then, but you'd be just lying to yourself now. And did you think I'd let you take these paintings of my daughter? What if you sell them, and my daughter's reputation is ruined? Ted, however, was simply counting everything. 7 notebooks and 6 paintings. Nothing was missing. Still, he retorted coolly at Wendy, "Don't worry, I'm not taking these with me." "What?" Wendy laughed even more coolly. "You're not taking them? Then why come all the way here?" "Oh, did you want to remind us that you worked hard back then and try to change my daughter's mind? Dream on." Ted ignored her this time as he put everything back inside the box and whipped out a lighter to burn them all together. The small blaze illuminated Ted's face, but there was no emotion on it. However, he knew that once these works were reduced to ashes, memories of him and Luna, the good and the bad, would also die with it. On the other hand, Wendy was certainly not content with dissing Ted so little. Watching as Ted was being so dramatic, she was laughing again. "You could have just told me if you wanted to burn it all. Why even bother coming back with us? Hell, I just throw them away. It's occupying precious space in my house, and no one's going to want them even if I sell them as scraps." "Well, if you're just being dramatic for my benefit, you're just wasting your time. You could burn something more valuable than that to show us your determination." Despite her disparaging Ted's works repeatedly, Ted never responded as he simply waited until the box was burned to ashes. Then, he finally stood up and leveled a scornful look at Wendy as he started to leave. "Ignorant and foolish. Only gold has value, or perhaps that's what you'd like to think." Heh. That look almost gave Wendy a stroke, as she absolutely loathed it. In the end, she had never been rich. It was only after Luna married Ted that she did not have to worry about the bare necessities, and she was only rich after Luna carved a successful career for herself. But even though she was rich now, her knowledge and vision never improved, which subjected her to much scorn from others, who gave her that same scornful look that Ted did. As such, she started ranting, letting loose all her frustration on Ted. "Who are you calling ignorant? You don't get to call me that. You're just a loser leeching off my daughter. What, do you think you're some master artist? How much do you think your work is worth? It's all crap. I could draw better than you if I like. And you just got dumped. Loser." Still, all Ted had to do to silence her was turn and level a cool, silent look at her, leaving her stumbling backward. In the end, all she was a bully. When Ted never fought back, she treated him like trash. When Ted did fight back and dispense on civility, her face certainly hurt from his slap. Dean tugged on Wendy's arm then, whispering, "It's all right, Mom. We don't have to win everything. Just wait until he's gone." Wendy nodded, and they both watched as Ted left without another word. When Ted was utterly gone from sight, however, Dean and Wendy were once again themselves, their faces contorted horrifically. Dean especially had been holding back for too long, and his agony seemed to overwhelm him all at once. But even as he rolled around in pain, he was more concerned about his face. Am I going to be disfigured? Mom! I don't care anymore. Don't you stop me. I'll kill him. I'll kill him. Arg. Just look at my hand. It hurts so much. Wendy grimaced in pain even as she rushed to her son and growled through her teeth. Don't worry, your face will definitely be fine. And you don't have to tell me twice. I'll destroy that prick too. How dare he do this to you? How dare he slap me? I'll kill him. Just wait here. I've already called an ambulance and they'll pick you up soon. That suits us just fine. Since I was wondering when I could talk to your sister. We'll see how she's going to weasel her way out of this now. As it was with every undertaking, there was always a catch. When Wendy was wondering how she should get more goodies from Luna and even land a job for Dean, she was worried that she would be caught demanding Ted's alimony. But now that Ted had slapped Wendy, his own mother-in-law, and beat Dean to a pulp, they suddenly looked like the victims here, the seriousness of their injuries notwithstanding. Luna defending Ted at this point. No chance. Delight showed on Dean's face right then, and his body suddenly did not hurt so much. Then call Luna already. She'd definitely agree to anything we ask for. Wendy simply laughed. Calm down. Let's stay in the hospital for a while and get everything bandaged. I'll then tell the doctor to make things sound more serious when he tells your sister, while we corroborate our stories so that it'd work more in our favor. Either way, there's nothing to worry about. I'll get you all the goodies this time. It's Luna's own fault for being such an ingrate, refusing to give her own family jobs in LunaCorp. What does she want? To remarry, have a child, and then give them all her money? Dream on. I'll be the first to have something to say about that. Was that really something a mother should say? However, Wendy did say it, and as if it was perfectly natural. Dean smiled at his mother in turn. Mom, do you remember that young man at that villa? The one who was tied up by his own father? Well, I gave him my number, and since they now know that Luna divorced Ted, they definitely want payback too. Humph. The more the merrier, as they say. I'll make Ted wish he was dead. Wendy sighed and clapped Dean on the shoulder. Don't worry. We'll definitely get our revenge. That was when Thomas and the ambulance arrived. Wendy made sure to shoot Thomas a vicious glare before getting into the ambulance with Dean. Terrified, Thomas promptly called Luna. He had no idea what had happened either, but with his wife and son so thoroughly hurt, the only one he could think of was his own daughter. When Luna got his call, she promptly turned pale and ran out of the conference room. There was no helping it. If it was Wendy or Dean, she would presume that they were exaggerating. On the other hand, if it was Thomas, it made things that much more believable. The moment Luna left such an important meeting and ran out of the conference room, Josie knew it was something serious. Or Luna would not have lost her composure like that. As Luna's best friend and assistant. She followed Luna right away. What happened, Ms. Lambert? They were still at the office, so Josie stuck with Luna's formal title, or it would be unruly. Luna turned to Josie flustered. My dad just called, saying that my mom and Dean are hurt. Dean even has a broken arm, and had his face disfigured. And you know my dad isn't like my mom. He wouldn't say something like that unless he saw it with his own eyes. Josie was stunned. She did not expect it to be that bad. All right, I'll drive you to the hospital. Don't worry, we'll soon be there, and we'll find out what happened. That said, how did this happen? Weren't they just fine this morning? Why were they attacked? Did they upset someone? Luna shook her head. I don't know, but probably not. Don't you know Dean? He's obnoxious and doesn't think before he talks. But he's a coward. He'd never mess with anyone who means business. Ugh, let's not talk about it. We'll know when we find out. My mom was hurt too, so it's not as simple as it looks. As she finished, Luna's eyes flared with rage, and she looked utterly eerie just then. She was a woman who fought her way to the elites of commerce after all. Having led LunaCorp until now and managed a business involving hundreds, it was only natural that she commanded authority. Contact Panther, she then growled. Whoever it is, I'll make them pay for hurting my mom and Dean. Even if they are losers, they are still my family, and no one gets to hurt them. This isn't even about punishment, they wanted them dead. I'm not going to forgive them. Josie flinched but nodded. Don't worry, I'll contact Panther right away, although we should ask about details at the hospital. Then, hesitating for a moment, she turned to Luna. There's something else you should know too. I just got the message when the meeting started, but Jimmy Cash is going to Eastport in a week. Luna's eyes lit up at the mere mention of Jimmy, like a maiden in love who would soon be reunited with a long-lost lover. Much of her spite faded right then, as the man took precedence over everything else. "He's coming," she exclaimed. "All right, check our schedule. See if we have any plans to travel to Eastport. If there is, postpone everything else so that we'll get to Eastport sooner and stay for a few days. Look for potential partners in Eastport, or whatever excuse we can come up with just to go over." However, Josie was left glancing at her in confusion. "Is that really necessary? Mr. Cash will definitely make time to see you once he arrives at Eastport. And like usual, he'll get you some great business deals without you needing to go to see him. Also, why come up with excuses? What's wrong with being direct? Mr. Cash will have a better time understanding your intention if you make it clear that you're going to Eastport for him." Josie was Luna's confidant, knowing plenty about her that others did not. Had LunaCorp rocketed to success solely because of Luna's abilities? No, in fact, there were plenty who were better than her. But none of them could propel their companies worth up to billions in just a few years. Moreover, Luna's business was commerce through and through, not some brand or concept that sold like hotcakes, which made it all even more unbelievable. And Jimmy was the person behind all that success. Their meeting almost seemed destined, as they met by chance and got along like a house on fire. When Jimmy learned that Luna's company had trouble, he introduced her to various people, as well as offering support in every way possible. And that was how Luna came to enjoy her present successes. With time, she slowly learned more about Jimmy. He was young, handsome, well-educated, and an heir of the famous Cash family, from the direct line of succession on top of that. There were even rumors that he was one of the top candidates to become the next head of the family, making his position divine. Forget meeting such a man. One could not even begin to imagine such a person being in existence. And yet he did, right by Luna's side and doting on her. How could she not fall for him? But that also begged the question, what made her think she had the right to have him? She was previously still married to Ted, and a married woman like her could not hope to be together with an heir like Jimmy. Even now that they were divorced, she did not have much confidence, but she could at least chase after Jimmy now. Still, she sighed. "Oh, Josie, I've met Mr. Cash no more than a handful of times over the last 5 years. They were just simple chats, and we were talking about Ted most of the time. I mean, what do you think he wants? There's this gap between us that seemed insurmountable. But now that I'm divorced, I want to find my happiness. I don't care even if he doesn't marry me yet, because I know that I'm not good enough to deserve him. The day will come when I'll make them accept me. But I don't want to cause trouble for Mr. Cash before that. Do you get me?" Josie nodded. "Yes, you both have feelings for each other anyway. But there were obstacles that kept you from coming together. But with your divorce, that's one less obstacle. Mr. Cash would be delighted to hear it." Luna grinned again right then. "Really? Do you think Mr. Cash likes me too?" Josie laughed out loud. "Oh, Ms. Lambert. My dear Luna, they say people get stupid when they're in love. And you really are a point in case. Why would you doubt that Mr. Cash likes you? Well, let me ask you this. If he doesn't like you, why would he constantly offer you his help? Most importantly, you were saying he was always asking about Ted. If he didn't have feelings for you, why would he ask about some stranger he doesn't know? Who is your husband on top of that? He's clearly jealous and probing you for information. But neither of you can say it out loud since you both have your concerns." Josie's response left Luna's grin broadening. It was a sweet expression, just like a maiden having her first experience in love. That was true. If Jimmy did not love her, why would he help her or ask about Ted? It had never crossed Josie or Luna's mind that Ted was really the reason for everything. And they would never think that way because it was simply impossible. Ted York? Jimmy Cash? They were from completely different worlds. Luna smiled sweetly, convinced that Jimmy loved her too. Still, she was not confident around him, and her usual lofty girl boss demeanor vaporized around him. And seeing Luna just then, there was a flicker of jealousy in Josie's eyes, though she stayed indifferent and said, "If you need an excuse to go to Eastport, I actually have one. Adam White's family will be celebrating his birthday soon. And as LunaCorp has received plenty of help from the White family, isn't this the perfect opportunity? Moreover, considering the connection between the Cash family and the White family, Mr. Cash would definitely attend it. Then you have every reason to meet up, don't you?" As Luna's assistant, Josie was better informed than Luna on occasion. Moreover, there were many things that Josie would sift through before bringing to Luna's attention. "Adam White is celebrating his birthday?" Luna quickly exclaimed. "Why didn't you tell me sooner, Josie? This is serious. I would attend it even if Mr. Cash isn't coming." After all, it went without saying how important the White family was in Easton. Even if LunaCorp appeared to be a behemoth, they were like an ant to an elephant compared to the White family. Hearing that, Josie explained, "It's just a rumor, since the White family hasn't really decided on anything. And it looks like Adam White didn't want things to get rowdy, but his family insisted on it since he's going to be 80, and it's a big deal. We haven't received an invitation either, so I didn't tell you. That said, it's definitely happening, so you should pick a good present. The White family wouldn't want for anything, but we know that Adam White loves paintings. We can try to get one for a present, and he'd be delighted." Luna nodded at first but then frowned. "If we can come up with that, others definitely could as well. It's Adam White's birthday, so a lot of people would want to use the opportunity to curry his favor. Even if we tried our luck at an auction, the price would end up being raised ridiculously. Well, whatever. Let's put that aside for now, since my mom and Dean's situation is more important right now." Just mentioning it left Luna in a bad mood again. No matter how much she despised her mother who played favorites and was cold toward her, Wendy was still her mother. And no matter how much of a loser Dean was, he was still her brother. She could be upset with them, even hate them, but no one else got to hurt them. Josie stayed silent in turn, since saying anything now would seem wrong before they found out what had happened. Soon they arrived at the VIP room of the hospital, and Luna finally knew why her father was so anxious. The very sight left her heart racing. After all, Dean's arm was bent at an unnatural angle. It had been plastered, but it was still a horrific sight. As for his face, there was hardly any semblance to how he looked before, and there was no telling if he would recover. Either way, he would stay disfigured for a while. As for Wendy, there was a clear palm print on her face. She had been slapped, and very viciously at that, or it would not have knocked out her teeth. And when Wendy and Dean saw Luna arrive, their haughty attitude was suddenly gone, as they cried and yelled. Luna's face was ashen even as she strode up to Dean. He kept whimpering but was unintelligible because of his swollen cheeks. Then Luna turned toward her mother, her teeth gritting audibly as she stared at the palm print on Wendy's cheek. "What's going on, Mom? Who did this to you?" Luna did not bother to ask who was right or wrong, and that was exactly what Wendy wanted. Shedding tears of grief right then, she bawled, "Who did you think? You? Me?" Luna was stunned, never expecting that answer. She could tell herself with a clear conscience that she had never upset anyone. Even if she did, they would not have gone this far. Sighing, she pressed, "What happened? Just explain it to me." "Don't worry, I'll help you no matter who it is." It was only then that Wendy sobbed. "It's that bastard Ted York." Both Luna and Josie were left stunned. Plenty of possibilities had crossed their mind, but not one where Ted was involved. They knew the man very well after all. He would never ever raise his voice and was so down to earth anyone could walk all over him. And Wendy was saying someone like that would get physical? Against his former mother-in-law and brother-in-law at that? That was just crazy, so Luna and Josie were immediately skeptical. "Ted." Luna frowned right then. "Are you joking, Mom? Ted would never have the balls to hurt someone, let alone go that far." Wendy was absolutely aggrieved. Forget Luna. Even she could hardly believe it, but it was Ted who attacked them. It really was Ted. She sobbed. "You never really know a person. You're so right to divorce him. Who knows what he would have done to you if you hadn't? You'd better watch out. If he dares to hurt me and Dean, he'd definitely hurt you too. That bastard. He's an animal." Luna knew her mother too well to know that she would not frame Ted at a time like this. Even if Luna did not want to believe it, this was reality and there was nothing much else to be said. Josie was gritting her teeth as she turned toward Luna as well. Mrs. Lambert is right, Luna. You never really know a person. Ted York usually pretends to be harmless, but who knows what he really is like. I mean, you saw how he snapped back at the office. That look was just scary. Now that you've divorced him, he wants revenge. That's definitely it. Wendy's eyes lit up at Josie's words, and she snarled viciously right then. Josie's right, Luna. Ted wants revenge because you divorced him. He's scared to hurt you, so he hurt me and Dean instead. That piece of shit. How dare he? And I was his mother-in-law for years. Rage flared over Luna's chest, and any guilt she felt toward Ted vaporized. Now all she felt was rage and spite as she could gut Ted right then. That piece of shit. I'll get him for this. Don't worry, Mom, I'll definitely make him pay. She growled, but she soon frowned as she remembered something. Wait, why did he attack you? Did he come looking for you? Wendy's eyes twitched, but fortunately for her, she had already thought of an excuse. And no, she promptly cried. We were at your mansion, and I just heard you got a divorce. I wanted to ask him what happened, whether he did anything to hurt you. But he snapped at us before I could finish, saying there's nothing between us since you've divorced him. He told us to fuck off and anyway, he said terrible things. Dean got upset and snapped at him a little, and he threw boiling water at Dean's face. Boiling water. Can you imagine? I was going to snap at him too. But he slapped me. This is the first time in my life that I've been slapped. Dean saw me get slapped, so he fought back despite the pain. But Ted broke his arm. Luna, that prick is a demon in human skin. He's really not what he seems. The more Wendy spoke, the more agitated and furious she was. On the other hand, Luna stared at her for a while, rage blazing in her eyes. She knew her mother, but did it matter even if it was not the absolute truth? Whatever the case might be, it was a fact that Ted had attacked them, and very viciously at that. They had just divorced, and he had immediately hospitalized her mother and brother. He deserved what was coming for him.